Would you like to use the ManyChat External Request Action block to bring some API data into your Messenger bot? Do you feel it may be too techy for you? Well, I'm going to show you how anybody can use that, and I'm going to show you that now.
We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands.
Hey, let's get this party started. So, ManyChat has a action block for external requests. And usually you call an API, you may get some data back. Especially with the external request, we can actually call an API and then bring the data right back into ManyChat and assign it to a custom user field and then display it. You don't need all the techie skills I have to do this. You can basically do it if you can add a action block to a ManyChat flow, and you can search on Google for a free API, whatever, free, let's say, free Bible verse API, free joke API, free horoscope API. Any of those three I'm going to show you today. But you can do free weather API, those types of things. There's many different free APIs out there that you can call, get the information back, put it in a custom user field, and display it without writing any API in Node.js or PHP or anything like that. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So here we go. So go into your ManyChat account, go into flows. Basically down here, go into flows and go open a new flow. And I'm going to go over here because I already have this already going. Basically, I went into flows, went into my libraries, external, I just call it test external. And I have 3 examples of 3 different APIs that we're going to play around with. First one is a joke. And I can show you what website it is. It's I Can Haze Dad Joke. And basically, it'll give you a random joke when you send a request to there, and the response will be a random joke. One thing we do have to do is put some headers in there. I'll explain that. A couple things that we do have to watch out for when we're doing these. And so when we start, what I'm going to show you is you're just going to double click on the open area, and you're going to perform an action. All right. And then you're going to click on action. And you're going to, click on action and go down to external requests. Now you do need the pro version to do this. And you're going to click on external request. And then we're going to fill that out. I have a few out here, so I'm just going to delete this one. So that's what I did. That was the process to add the action block. And so here's the action block, just like I had, except I have it filled out. So now I have it filled out. Now, one of the things you have to watch out for is when you're calling the endpoint. And so what you want to do is, that's what it's called. This is called an endpoint. You're making a request to an endpoint that's going to send you a response back. And we want to look for responses. And that's the other thing is, so there's a couple things you want to check. One, is it a free API? Do you have to pay for it? Do you have to have an API key? You can. We're not going to go over that here. If you do run into them, let me know. I can always help you out, but you have to put the key in the body that you're sending it and stuff like that. The ones that I picked are totally free. They don't have an API key, so you just make a call and you get the information back. So one thing is you want to look for a free API. 2 is you want to find the endpoint. And so if we're looking at this one, and here is, here's API, authentication. No, there is no API key, so that's good. So that's what it's kind of authentication. So anytime you have authentication, they're probably going to want you to use an API key. API response formats. And so basically, you're going to call this API endpoint, and then there's some headers sometimes. We want JSON. And so anytime that they tell you that you do need a header, what it is headers. That would be this part here. and you're going to put accept as a key, and then you're going to put application JSON like this. Now that's only if they require it. You don't, and you'll see then the other ones, I don't do anything with the headers, and it comes over fine. This one just telling, and the reason is because this API would send you text, HTML response, a text, HTML text response, JSON, or a plain text. So you can have 3 different types of responses coming back to you. We want JSON, and that's the one thing is you always have to have a JSON response coming back. And there, because of the way the mapping is going to be, and I'm going to show you how to map it to a custom user field that's coming back. And then you just kind of, let's see, the custom user agent, we don't have to worry about that right now. Endpoint. So fetch a random joke. Here's your endpoint. Now here's the catch here, this get. On those, you either can, in ManyChat, for this external request, we can only do a post or a get. It starts with a post, and I would suggest, trying to do the post. The other thing is, if you look at this API, this one has an S in it. Some of them don't have S's in it in HTTPS, and you have to put the S in. So we'll look at that in another one. This one had that. So what if you did is you just said, copy this, you're going to copy this over here, and you're going to take it, and you're going to put it in here, just like that. Now I did post, so I'm just going to test this once. And it's going to come back and it says method not allowed, because basically it's because this request type isn't supported. It needs to be a get because they actually tell you that right here, get. So you have to pay attention to the details to get these to work, but they're pretty simple to set up. So we're going to change that to a get. And you can see that the body goes away. And we don't need to pass anything, but the body, there's 2 different ways. In a post, you pass data in a body, usually JSON. In a get, if you're passing anything, you're passing it up here in a query string. We don't have to worry about those. Just wanted to make that point. But once you do a post, or no, it's a get. Sorry, they want you to do get, and you do test request. I just put the get and put this in there, and it works. And there it is, right there. And it's JSON based on this header. You can see. Let's just switch this up once. Let's do plain text. And if I put plain text in here, and we're going to test it. See, we got plain text. It's just the joke. But we can't map that in the response mapping because it's not JSON. So you don't want that. So I just wanted to show you that, it returns plain text. Basically, the header tells it how we want that back. What are we going to accept? We're going to accept application JSON. So we need to put that back in here. And we can test it. And there we are. So now we're going to get to the mapping. So now that we got a response back, and so they sent us a joke back. A man walks in a bar with some asphalt on his arm. He said, 2 beers, please. 1 for me and 1 for the road. So what we do is we want to get this joke. So how JSON works is you have a key. So the key is ID, and here's the key. Comma means we're going on to another entity in the JSON. So we're going to look for another key. Oh, joke is a key, and they're divided between with a colon, and then the data. So it's a key, then a data. So we want that joke. So what we're going to do is we're going to map it, and I created a text field just called API text. So we can always put that in all my examples. And what you want to do is you want to follow JSON path, how you're going to map it out. And so you can go to this, you can read it, and try to figure out, it's like, oh, okay, this is how it does it. I'm just going to tell you what you're going to do. And it's very easy to do. You can read this, and it makes some sense. I had to read it the first beginning to figure it out. But basically, the $, is the root of the JSON. So it's like the whole data. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start at the root. So if I go back to this example, or the response body, is the root is the whole thing. So I'm going to start at the whole thing dot joke, which is this, is a key. So that's what happens is you put the $ dot a key, and then you get the value by referencing that key. So it's $ dot joke. So we're referencing this key, telling us that we want this part put into this field. All right. That's how that mapping works. And so I could just run a test again, make sure we have all things. Now, when you run the test request here, it does not put it in this custom user field. It will not do that here. It's just telling you you're okay. What you want is you want a 200 okay on this. And so then you know that it's working properly. So then you save it. And then what I did is I just created a message here, and I just put a API text to display it. So I'm just going to publish that, and I'm going to preview that. And let's see, there we go. Doctor, I broke my arm in several places. And doctor, well, don't go to those places. I don't know what that is. So let's run it again. I'm just going to preview it. Why is it so windy inside an arena? All those fans. Anyway, there's a daily joke. All right. So now you can send a daily joke every day, and actually it probably falls into the subscription messaging with Facebook. If you did something like this and you sent out a daily joke, I have a feeling they'll approve you for daily interaction. Any three of these, the daily Bible verse, the daily horoscope, I think all those actually would pass the subscription messaging for your bot. So that's one thing to think about, is how could I use a free API out there and deliver some value to my subscribers, daily, weekly, whatever you want. And I'm going to put a reference to my other video on how to do a daily or weekly sequence. Do it the right way. And what you could do is you incorporate this external request block or action block in there that sends a daily or a weekly or monthly, whatever you want to do, Bible verse or joke or whatever it is. So look for the link. You can watch that video, how to set a sequence up that would do this every day or every week. And so that's the joke one. So let's move this little green thing over here, and we're going to go to the horoscope. So now the horoscope is we're going to ask the user, or the subscriber, I mean, for the sign that we want. So basically, you're going to have a bunch of buttons, or don't have them type it in, because they'll misspell it. So what you do is, what I've done is I'd have quick replies to a custom user field, and I would have, I think there's 12 signs, so you got too many. There's not enough quick replies, so you'd have to do 2, where I do like 5 and then say other, and then they can push other, and then they display the other ones and they pick one. So we get a sign in there, and this one comes from there is a lot of paid ones, but this one comes from right here. I just Googled free API, horoscope API, and I got this one. And basically it's, and I'll put the links to these websites in the description, all right? So that you can kind of go look at them. And this basically is, here's the endpoint. Let me see what I did here. Okay, it probably tells you in here where the endpoint is. Oh, here it is, right here. That's the endpoint. And then basically it says right here, horoscope today. So basically right here, here's what I just did. And now again, it says get. Now notice this one does not have an HTTPS. So if I took this S out of here, and just copied what they had there, it's going to fail because ManyChat wants you to have a secure HTTP. I think, I don't know, what did this thing say here? Let's see. Invalid URL. Basically, that's what it says there. So what you do is just add an S. Even though on the website it doesn't say an S, it still works. It sends it, and you get the information. So again, this one says get. And so pay attention to what it is. Is it a get or is it a post? So there's two things. One is you got to watch out for the request type. Two is you got to watch out for HTTPS and making sure that it's an S in there, and then it'll work. So here in this one, we have no headers because all they send back is JSON. That's the only format they have. So that's the only format we can get back, so we don't have to put any headers in. And again, what I did is, here we're going to look at this. And so here's $. Think mapping. Think mapping. The $sign is the whole thing. And then you're going to go $, dot, whatever. And we're going to dot horoscope. And you could take the data out of there too and map it to another field. We're just going to map the actual horoscope to API _text. So it's $, dot horoscope. And that again is coming right from here. And $, again, is the whole thing. So we're just going to test the request, make sure we get a 200 OK and a check mark. So we're good. I'm going to save it, and we're going to publish it, and then we're going to preview it. And let's see. Here's the horoscope today for Scorpio. And so I did add a little bit to this message. You know, I said horoscope for, and then so I showed the sign, and then we displayed the text. And as athletes will achieve prime fitness and form today, says Ganesha. Engineers will design plans and will concentrate their resources on laying foundation in new business ventures. Your social reputation will get a major boost later in the day. So, granted, there's a lot of different APIs and websites that do horoscopes, and so it's formatted a little differently than some of the other ones, but it's free. And I just want to show you how easy. You don't have to be techy. You know, you need to know a little bit, and I'm teaching you how to look at these websites and figure out what to need to do. But so you can bring the data right in and make your bot even funner to be in. All right, so that one is the horoscope, and now we're going to go to the Bible verse. And now the Bible verse is right here, and it's our manna, and it's a free API. And let's see, I'm just looking through here. Now, this is talking about putting a widget in your website, and you don't have to do any of that. What you need to do is you need just to look for, let's see, right here. So I just kind of went down, and it does say you can use a verse a day, and then if all types would get the reverse. You know, you can do text, XML, RS, feed, or JSON. Now here, they're actually in the endpoint. So remember when we were talking about query strings versus body? These are query strings. So if we look at this request, we have question mark format equals JSON and sign order equals random. So those are query strings. Now, granted, usually query strings go with a get, but we can do with a post and it works. I could change this to a get, and I'm assuming that it'll work just the same. Yeah, it works the same. So usually a get has query strings. A post has a body. So you don't want to really mix it. Now, here's another one to watch out. Is you can see that this one did not have an S in it. Originally it had like this, and so I'm going to test it, and I'm going to get invalid. So just add an S to it to satisfy ManyChat. So it'll send out over a secured server request from ManyChat. So basically what you do is you put format equals JSON, and then order equals random. So that was the requirements for this API. You just scroll down, I found it. Here is the endpoint. And I just changed the format. So if we change the format to text, you'll be able to see what happens. Copy that out of there. If I put text, so now here's a JSON. You can see the way that looks. And then there's text. There's no way really to get to that, to map it. So we can't use text. We need to use JSON. So I'm going to put JSON back in there, and we're going to test. All right. So now we're going to map the text and the reference. I created 2 fields on this one. 2 fields. And you can see that the JSON's a little more complex. It's a little deeper. Goes to a little different levels. So the $ again is this whole JSON. All right. Then you're going to go down to the next level, because every time there's curly brackets, that's another object. That's another level. So we have level 1, the $ is the whole thing. The next level is verse. So what we're going to do is we're going to go dot verse. The next level, because it's got a curly bracket in it, is details. So now we're going to go dot details. And then finally, inside this object, where all the meat is, or details as it says on the outside key, we're going to find the key text. And we're going to grab that like that. So we're going to go $.verse.details.text. And then we're going to map it to this custom user field. And we want the reference. We want to know where this Bible verse came from, which chapter. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to go the same thing, $verse details reference. And we're going to stick it in API reference. And we're going to run the test, and it works. Now we're going to save this. We're going to publish it. And we got the Bible verse on there to start. Okay, so we're going to hit preview, and there we are. Listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end you will be counted among the wise. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. Proverbs 19:20-21. So we can run it again. It was one more time. And we're going to say, how great are you, sovereign Lord? There is no one like you, and there is no God but you, as we have heard with our own ears. 2 Samuel 7:22. So there you are. Very easy to use the ManyChat External Request Action block to call just about, I wouldn't say any API. There's some complexity. You have to, number one is, I would just find a free one. I mean, granted, you could pay for one too. It doesn't matter. The big thing is look, you need JSON coming back. The data needs to come in JSON format. If they tell you, oh, we only have XML, you're going to probably have to use Zapier or something else to do that, which you can, but here you don't have to use Zapier or anything. You can use ManyChat, organic ManyChat, to do this stuff and bring the answers back in. So if you have any other questions, like I said, is some of them are going to want an API key. And so that's a little more detailed. You got to need to pass that in the header or in the body to the request so that they can get the key and actually authorize you to get the response back. Today, I just wanted to go over the free, where you have a free API and there's no key, and you can get a response back and you can provide it to your subscriber. And really the thing is that you could use this on a subscription messaging, I'm sure, with Facebook. So you could get approved for your bot to send a daily or weekly or whatever joke, Bible verse, whatever it is. Well, that concludes our video for today on how to use the ManyChat External Request Action block to bring API data into your Messenger bot. Showed you some simple ways on how to bring that data in. It's not too techy. You don't need an outside API with Node.js or PHP. You can use the external request block, call the API, bring the data in, and put it into a custom user field and display it, making your subscribers' experience that much better. We looked at how to bring in a random joke, a random Bible verse, and actually the daily horoscope right into your bot. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. I'd be happy to answer them. And as always, like the video, share it across the world, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Click the little bell so you do get notified when I upload a new video. Down in the description, I do have a great Facebook group, all like-minded people sharing things. Come on and join us. Happy to have you. And as always, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.